Good evening and welcome to Satsang with John David. It's the next chance to spend a more intensive time with John David and some of the community members the next weekend. From the 13th till the 17th of April, John David's holding the Easter retreat here at the Open Sky House in Hitdorf. There are still spaces if you want to spontaneously jump in and join. And from the 29th of April until the 7th of May, John David's holding his silent retreat in the Open Sky House Tripilia near Kiev in the Ukraine. It's a beautiful time then with the spring just blooming on the trees and in the air. And for both these retreats you can find more information on John David's website, www.johndavidsatsang.international. Thank you.
Welcome to Satsang. We'll start with some jokes. By the way, tonight we're having our meeting in a rather unusual part of our house, because 2 months ago our Satsang room burnt down. Got very hot and burnt down. A man was feeling ill and went to the doctor, and the doctor said he needs tests before determining what's wrong, and he told him to come back in a week. A week passed and the man came to the hospital, and the doctor told him, "I have good news and bad news." "Oh God," said the guy. "Well, please give me the good news first." "Well," said the doctor, "the good news is that you're going to the good news is that they're going to name a disease after you." Two small kids are walking down the street, and they find a hole in the wall which looks directly into a nudist camp. One kid looks through and says, "Wow." The other says, "Are they men or women in there?" The kid looking through the hole says, "I don't know. None of them are wearing any clothes." Two robbers were robbing a hotel. The first one said, "I hear police coming up the stairs. We have to jump." The second one says, "But we're on the 13th floor. The first one screamed back, "This is no time to be so superstitious." So I'd like to invite Indira to come and have a dialogue. Welcome. So most people will know Indira in different roles. Some of you will know her as the organizer of our community. It's not working like that. It's not on your blouse.
What do I have to do?
Okay.
Thank you.
So some people will know Indira as the main organizer of our three communities, and in particular holding our community in Hitov together. This is a 25 hours a day job, and everybody knows how well she does that. And another one of her, you may have met her in the role of providing an ever available shoulder for laughing or crying on. We get both pretty regularly in our community, and she's very good at having a sympathetic ear and a incisive insights into why you might be laughing a lot. And in the last time, increasingly, she's been developing her own particular brand of theatre. And we decided that tonight would be a good moment to kind of go a bit more deeply into this theatre, which she calls authentic theatre. And so, of course, my first question would be, what exactly is authentic theatre?
Yeah, this name actually comes from, the theatre I do is all improvised. It all comes from the moment. And when I started, I called it either improvisation theatre or clown theatre or theatre out of the moment. But the problem is that all these words, people have ideas. Yeah? If you go to an improvisation theatre workshop, people expect a certain setting or certain things.
Sort of style.
Yeah. If you go to a clown theatre workshop, people also expect a
Everybody
certain...
has red noses.
Yes, for example, yeah. So, and then, but what I did was neither. It was a little bit from everything. And then I felt that the most important thing, really, what was most important for me on stage is the authenticity.
Right.
And therefore I then called it, I had the feeling I need a name which is not used, yeah, so people don't come with expectations. Yeah. And yeah, so that's also
somehow it's a good choice, because I mean the other name you have used in certain contexts is Satsang theatre, but again people have ideas about that.
Probably. I mean, it's so odd that maybe, I don't know, people don't have so many ideas. Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, anyway, so I mean, you made it clear really what is important about this word authentic, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, this thing was, what myself, how I got into this theatre was that somehow on stage I could come in a very, very present state. Yeah? I mean, when this happened, I didn't know about presence and all these words, yeah? And I also didn't know what was happening really.
Right.
But when I look back, what really hooked me in theatre was this presence I could feel on stage.
Right.
And that I could come in an enormous presence, which even led to something like I could watch me not doing it.
Right.
Yeah? It just happened. It was completely magic.
Right.
And this actually led through that it was a bit like I wanted this more, yeah? And I didn't know what was happening, but I could find it in theatre.
Right.
And this was actually the reason why I, for years and years and years, was doing theatre.
Right. Well, that's an interesting point, this thing about presence, yeah? Maybe we come back to that a bit, but I wanted to ask you maybe a little bit of background, not the whole story, of course, but maybe a little bit of background, how you got into theatre and how that has developed over the last years.
I got into theatre actually when I was, 14, 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
We did street theatre, yeah?
Right.
With a message.
With a message?
Yes.
What was the message?
Be
present.
No, then the message, then it was sort of like, the message was usually political, yeah? For peace or against horrible things which happen in the world. Yeah?
Right,
against oppression and for liberation and all these things.
Okay, right.
So, and I just liked playing, And I did all kinds of theatre. But then it really got me when this presence happened. I had a theatre teacher who was really good to bring the people on stage into presence.
Mm.
And this, then, I always liked this playing. I always liked experiencing myself in play. But this was when it really got me. Yeah? And then, so with him I was for several years. And then he stopped working. And this was for me a complete drama. Yeah? So for 2 years I tried to reanimate him. And I did all kind of other theatre workshops, which were quite useful, I can see now. But basically I didn't find what I was looking for. And I also had no idea what I was looking for. Yeah? And I couldn't communicate what I was looking for. Yeah, so I was very lost, and after 2 years, when it seemed that I couldn't reanimate him again, I started giving workshops myself in a similar setting, like he did. Somehow because I had to connect with the space. And I didn't know what else to do then I was not really keen at this stage being a teacher. I rather was on the other side, But somehow I had to do it because, I don't know, there was no other choice,
Right.
And then I started my first group.
This was in Münster, I think.
Yeah, this was in Münster. The first group I invited all friends and everybody I knew for free because I didn't know how it
would go.
How it could be and everything.
Yeah.
And then actually it went really quick. It was very good.
Yeah.
And then out of this I did more workshops and had very quickly a regular group.
And how long ago are you talking about now?
Well, this is probably 12 years ago. Something like this. 2002, maybe 15 years ago.
And at the same time as doing these workshops, you were working as a clown, or you were working giving theatre performances?
Can't remember. I think what came first? Well, it all happened a bit at the same time. I somehow was involved in all kind of theatre things a bit, because I liked it. I knew many people who were doing theatre, But then, basically, I can't remember now what was first. It was more or less in the same time. I also started working as a clinic clown.
A what?
A clinic clown.
A clinic clown. Can you explain what the clinic
clown is? A clinic clown goes to hospitals. Or psychiatric hospitals or people's home. It's very known on children wards.
Right.
So, and it happened, somebody was ill, and so they asked me, they said, well, you are doing theatre, can you jump in? There's somebody ill, can you help,
Right.
And I must say, first I didn't want to because I didn't like clowns, really. In the circus when I was a child, I never liked them. I couldn't share the humor of this circus clowns at all. And I didn't like, I had this picture, like you have a red nose and big shoes. And so, but anyway, they paid. It was a paid job, So, of course, I said yes. And then I must say, that was completely different than what I thought. So it was very beautiful because basically it's not like in a circus that you make things that the people laugh. It's also all about the moment. You meet people in the moment, children or adults or old people or whoever, and then you play with somehow what develops in the moment.
Right.
And this I really was touched, I really enjoyed, and this person who was ill never came back, and I somehow got
now you're mentioning again in a way the importance for you of the moment, or the present moment, or presence.
Yes.
So, this seems to be an important aspect to how you got more and more involved. Although you say you didn't quite know what this animal was that was touching you. So in a way you were doing theatre, but there was something happening in the theatre which was somehow very, very attractive, but you couldn't quite catch it. And it may be, I think, that maybe many of the great actors, there are some famous Hollywood ones and also theatre ones from London that I'm familiar with. And if I would think what it is that really touches me when I hear those people acting or watch them acting, is exactly this thing, that these great actors somehow take on the role, but then they're so present in the role that you feel it's so authentic, actually. So then this word authentic comes in.
Yeah, and I think the audience, I think what is really touching the audience is the presence. There are techniques and there are people who have a lot of experience and are technically very good, but what is really, I think, grabbing you as an audience, with every actor, is actually the presence. And I think also on the other side for the actor, this is the thing, when you're on stage and you're really, really present, it's so I mean, it's so
mind-blowing.
Yeah, mind-blowing.
You lose your mind, basically.
And nourishing. Yeah, mind-blowing. Yeah, it's unpersonal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really.
And it may be this aspect that allows. I can think of some names, but anyway, some of the great actors to be able to so powerfully take you in a way, take you into their character, because you feel it's not a character, you feel it's real in a way, because they're so present. And I can imagine from the other side, as you're saying, that for the actor himself, whether he quite knows what's happening, or whether he just experiences it and likes it, there must be, for most actors, whether they're great or not, but most actors must come sometimes into this moment when everything gets quiet inside and they can watch themselves moving, relating, speaking their words and so on. Yeah? And this must be enormously touching for them.
I mean, it may be. I mean, my one of my very, very famous actors here is Robin Williams. Yeah.
Oh, really? Robin Williams.
Who really? I mean, now when he died 2 years ago or something, or 3 years ago, when he killed himself, I watched a lot of videos from him again. Yeah, and I mean, he's so like with every cell. Yeah, he's there. Yeah. Right. But also with him, I think, and not all actors, but some other actors, it happens when they are acting, yeah. I mean, he killed himself, yeah, because he was very depressive. He had lots of problems with alcohol, which he never got rid of, yeah. So somehow he couldn't transport it into life, obviously, yeah. It sort of happened. I mean, he was a manic player. He did so many films, yeah, enormously. Yeah, he was an enormous worker, yeah.
I mean, I particularly remember, for me, the Dead Poets Society film.
Yes.
Where he played just a school teacher. Well, just a school teacher, you know. He played a school teacher. And I would say that would be a very good example where his immense kind of presence, his immense sort of authentic presence was so powerful that he was able to transmit a whole philosophy from being this school teacher, which is not so easy, I guess. Yeah, now I'm remembering another amazing, Laurence Olivier, you know, this English, mostly stage actor.
Don't know.
You don't know Laurence Olivier? Was it Laurence Olivier?
Maybe when I see it, but...
Yeah, very famous stage actor. Yeah. And not so long ago I watched him in a film. And the whole of this film happened in his dressing room, right? So, it was just in this small space, you know, where there were a couple of chairs, maybe. There was him, and he had this faithful retainer, who was another brilliant actor. I've forgotten who he was, but another brilliant actor. So basically the whole of this film was just these two guys in the dressing room. And then all kind of other bit players would come into the dressing room, like his wife, and I don't know, the female star of the play. Different people came in, but mainly it was these two guys for I don't know, and more than an hour in this film. Yeah, but he was so incredibly there, present, and he was an older actor, and he was confronting his. In a way, his whole life, and in fact, at the end of the film, he suddenly dies. You know, so in the room, you know, in the dressing room. So it was a very dramatic kind of film, but just between these two guys, you know, which is not exactly box office Hollywood, you know. But I was completely amazed by this man. Yeah. And I think this is actually true of all the actors who become actually very famous, that they have some quality like that.
Yeah.
So maybe you tell us a little bit more about these theatre workshops, how you've experienced this aspect of presence happening. Because I mean, I know from my own self that I was often a bit shy to be in front of a group of people and to put on some kind of performance. and there was always, how can I say? Excuse me.
Aeroplane landing in the backyard.
Oh, that's what it was, an aeroplane. So I often experienced that it wasn't really easy to be present or natural or really, in the moment, actually. So do you have a way of getting people more relaxed or tickling them into the moment?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, basically the warming up, of course, is a sort of big part of it, because that people get into a playful mood. I mean, theater often, very many people are frightened of theater, and when I do sort of like weekend workshops, I always have people sitting there saying like, oh, this morning I thought I'm not coming, but then I paid my money already, and so I'm here, but I don't want to be here, so it's, Right. But then I must say, at the end of, I think every weekend I did, people enjoyed it very much, and I mean, the group does a lot, I mean, basically it's to encourage the people to take off the pressure and just play, and play, so in a group first, so they get out of their mind and they just enjoy playing, and I think once...
when you say playing, you mean acting, do you?
No, first, the warming up is first, I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff, but silly games, The best thing is you start with silly games, so everybody is... something everybody can do, everybody has fun with, so then everybody can relax a bit.
Right.
You come in contact with yourself, with the others, you can be crazy.
Right.
And also, of course, at the beginning I always say it's not about performing something. It's, you don't have to do anything. You don't need to do anything. And also everything which comes up, like for example all the fear which comes up, or maybe anger or something, you can use. This is a nice thing with this form of theater, So either you just enjoy yourself and everything is okay and you're quite quiet, or you are busy with, oh my God, it's really, now they're all looking at me, But then you also have something to play with, Right. So whatever comes up, you get completely bored, this also can happen, as a reaction of, we often get bored because we don't want to be somewhere,
Right.
And then you just can, go into this, really sort of like, and you can project. That's a great thing with theater. Instead of saying I feel bored, you can say you're completely boring. You're really boring.
Right.
And then something is happening. The other gets this big thing, and.
So everything is kind of included, and everything is kind of used to create a possibility of becoming present.
Yes, everything is welcome. I mean, it's basically like in life, If you welcome everything, and go with everything what is there, I mean, then everything is okay again. It's only if what happens often on stage, there is this idea, now everybody's looking, everybody's looking, and now I have to be in a certain way. Like in life you're also always on stage, in front of your colleagues, in front of your children, it's also like a stage. And then you think you should be like this or this or this. But if you just can allow what is there when they are all looking, and maybe you get frightened or maybe you enjoy it completely, then you can go with it. And the great thing with theater is, you don't need to. There are no. You don't need to behave or anything. If you don't like them, you just can say it. You're a bunch of shit. Something. You can. Or if you have a player, it's. You just can project it on him.
Right.
And then so itself something is happening, because if you are telling somebody you are a bunch of shit, I mean, something probably will happen then,
So, I mean, what you're touching on now is that, in a way, there's an aspect of therapy in it, because in some kinds of therapy, also a kind of theatre-like situation is set up. For example, in family constellation, you set up, daddy, mummy, your brother, your sister, and you put yourself into that situation, for example. So it's in one way, it's a kind of theatre going on, you could say. So probably, as you've developed this authentic theatre, you've seen that it also serves as a kind of therapy. Is that right? Or?
Yeah, I mean, there are different ways, If you just see what happens in the moment, of course, always basically what comes has to do with you, of course, and also with the situation you are in. Maybe you explore a new role, you expand in something which you never have tried before. Maybe some issue where you are busy with comes up. I mean, when I play it on stage, when I look at it, it has something to do with my current situation, even if it's not one-to-one. But if you look closer, you can see it. And this I also always like, because it brings something up where you might not be aware of.
So somebody might have a bit of a shadow side, which they kind of avoid. They're kind of avoiding their shadow side. And then they come on the stage, and if they choose it, they can bring out the shadow side in a realistic way, in the safety of, it's only 1 hour or 5 minutes or something.
Yes, it might just happen by accident or whatever. So I mean, when people come out, often I see something which is strongly there, and often this goes a bit later. So, I mean, sometimes I encourage them to sort of stay with this.
You were giving this example to me earlier, do you remember, about somebody who is quite quiet and maybe has a little bit of resistance to life, and how this person suddenly on stage changed very dramatically. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. For example, there was a woman, she came on stage and she completely enjoyed it. It's always, where's the energy going? And she got a lot of energy by telling the whole audience how to do things right. In the right way, and that they all don't know, and that they're all stupid, and it's completely hopeless, and how they, so, and it was an enormous which energy came there. So it's only about, you just go with the energy. Where's the energy? There you go. As a player, and also, I mean, for me, when I try to support the people on stage, and don't control, just let it out. It might be liberating. It may be something new to explore. It can be something completely old. It doesn't matter. You can afterwards, you can analyze it. So
do you analyze it afterwards? I mean, as part of the sort of sharing, when somebody has performed something or played something, do you then sort of analyze it together? Or
yes. So I mean, the players. Well, first the audience. If the players want, the audience, they can give feedback from what they saw, how they experienced it. And then the players also can say something out of their role. And it depends. I mean, here in the house, when we do it, we can go deeper into feedback, and people know each other, and they say, "Wow, this side I've never seen. This is something completely new, and it's brilliant. We like it. We like you like this. We want to see more of this."
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
So, but if you don't know the people in a weekend workshop, I mean, you're sometimes completely surprised. Somebody comes on stage, is enormously sexy, and looks like she never has done anything else than being like a model on stage, sexy. And then in the feedback, sometimes people say, "Oh, this was so strong for me. I never ever have even
allowed my sexuality." Like
something. It's so if you don't know the people, sometimes it's very surprising.
Right.
how they perceive.
So could you maybe say how you've been developing it more recently? So you've been you've been living in the Open Sky House for some years now, and as you say, you've been working with people who kind of know each other. Can you maybe say how this has affected how you've been developing it more recently?
Well, I would say the big difference is, when I compare this with other groups, is that people have a lot of yes. Yeah. And I mean, that there's a big yes to basically. Yeah, a big yes to try out something new, a big yes to explore things, a big openness, This is the difficulty often in groups, that there's a big resistance, basically, that there's a big resistance, and then it's difficult, For me, I find it difficult and frustrating, when I try to support people, and they just don't want it, they just. And for them, at the end, it's also frustrating. This is, and in this, I see a very big difference when I work here with people.
That they have a basic openness, a basic yes to whatever's happening.
Yes, an enormous yes to it.
And of course, here in this house, one element of our kind of inner work, you can call it like that, I think, is to watch, like a witness, our old mind structures or whatever, And this happens in different ways in the house. But I mean, I could imagine that this one evening a week theatre can be a great help with that.
I should ask the people. I think so.
In a minute we'll ask the people.
I think so. I mean, I myself, I must say, my time where I did quite regularly theatre with this guy, was for me it was like therapy. I also did therapy, proper therapy, you can say, but a lot of stuff happened for me on stage. A lot of things happened for me on stage. I'm discovering femaleness in women. My first miniskirt, I never wear short skirts, So once on stage, I had to do it, I had to do it. And it was very, very...
When you say you had to, you chose to do it.
Well, well, he was quite...
he saw that you couldn't wear a miniskirt and got you into a miniskirt.
Yes. I mean, after some time, he was a very funny guy. I mean, in life, he was not very, I don't know, he was very strange. But in the theatre room, he was really, really sharp. And he completely could see the people. And once he got you in a sort of regular thing, he sort of got you into things where you don't want to go.
Right, like wearing a miniskirt.
Like wearing a miniskirt, yes.
Right.
And I got away for some time saying, they're all too small for me and things like that. So then he organized a very, which was true, but then he organized the next time I came, he had a very sexy black, completely short, And, I tried it, And it was, I mean, many things I tried on stage. It was great for me, because it was not always easy. Well, the difficult thing was before, basically. When it then was happening, it was usually surprisingly easy. But also to see then all these facets, and for me, it was the great thing was like all these facets I could go into. All this being shy or what's happening then, you're not, it's really, I don't know, you really can try it out, and then afterwards you have a real experience, a real experience,
So when you say a real experience, are you again pointing to this that happens in presence? Are we talking about presence when you say a real experience?
No.
You're talking
now
more.
We're talking more about the story.
Okay. All right.
For example, with this miniskirt, So after I've been on stage, I think this weekend after once I had only sexy things and miniskirts on, And actually, after some difficulties and bumps, I discovered I completely enjoy it. Yeah,
right.
This was for me the amazing surprise. Yeah, first I was scared, and then all the men were watching, and this was very horrible, and they thought me sexy. This was even worse. Yeah, and then there were women, and then I couldn't move like I wanted, and I mean all kinds of things. But when I went through all this jungle, finally I completely enjoyed it. Yeah?
Right. Right.
And I completely enjoyed to be sexy, and then I completely enjoyed that the men was looking and all this stuff. And I mean, this I never could have. Where could I have practiced this? Yeah.
Right. Right.
So and then after the weekend, a completely new era happened for me.
Yeah.
And this were with many things. Yeah, with many things. But for me, it was really important. Like, I don't know, to really go through this with real other people on stage. Yeah.
Right.
And bringing all my energy in this, yeah. In life, it's sometimes not so easy.
So when we were talking about presence, you were saying in a way that there was a certain time when you didn't really know what this thing was, which later you gave the label presence.
Yes.
So how did that actually develop? How did you come to understand what this quality was that was so touching?
Well, I mean, basically, the connection came basically when I met you, not before, yeah? I mean, the word presence I knew because the theater guy also, I mean, on stage you are always talking about presence on stage. But I would say there's presence and presence.
Yeah, so it's a different presence, actually.
Yes.
The same word, but a different quality.
It's a different quality, I would say. It's really a different quality. Yeah? It's this quality... I mean, I'm talking about this quality where you disappear, yeah? Where you really disappear.
Right,
yeah?
right.
So, and I think this I connected. I don't know if I connected it already on the day when I met you, but I mean, when I met you, this was a very profound meeting. And then afterwards, when I met you more often, I realized that this is what it is about. And that actually, I mean, for years I had looked for a theater teacher after this guy, and I never found anybody. Yeah, and it was a bit of a drama in my life. Yeah.
Right. Right.
And after I have met you, suddenly I thought, well, it was not about the theater teacher. Yeah, it was about the teacher, and probably about a spiritual teacher. Yeah? But because I didn't know that there's something like spiritual teachers or other teachers, or I didn't know anything, yeah, I couldn't look, yeah. But then I had found what I was looking for in theater, I found with you, basically. Yeah. And then also, in a way, the theater was not so important anymore.
Well, I think in the beginning, when you joined the community, you were not really doing any theatre much. And it's, you in a way, come back to it. Certainly, in this authentic theatre, you've come back to it. Maybe you still continued your hospital work.
Yeah, and I had this regular group. Yeah.
You had this
regular group, and I also did, especially at the beginning, I had workshops going still.
Right, right.
But it was not so. I mean, from the quantity, probably I did more at the beginning than later, yeah? But from the inner importance, before there was something, I had to do it, yeah? I had to do it to connect to this, yeah? And I didn't know any other way. I mean, there were some other ways where it happened, yeah, of course, yeah? But I couldn't really, this was my way to connecting. And somehow when
you say connecting, you're not meaning connecting with another actor. You're talking about connecting inside yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Well, connecting in deeply inside myself and connecting, I don't know, with the universe or with everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Connecting with everything, basically, and when I could more connect with everything than without theater, this was not so. Yeah, I still like it, and but it's not this pressure, this...
because you have other ways how you connect to presence. I mean, you're living in presence, you can say.
Yes,
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, that it must be true that many actresses and actors, who become become very famous have this quality, and they maybe never really know what it is. For example, I have my theory about surfing in the ocean, you know, because once I was living, looking down on a beach where there were many surfers, you know, and what I experienced was they would spend hours bobbing around in the water in their black wetsuits, you know, for a few seconds on the wave if they were lucky, you know. And I could never really understand what would be attractive to do that, you know, bobbing around in the cold water, hoping that you'd get a few seconds on the wave. And maybe they didn't really know what was attractive, but I would guess again, this few seconds of presence that you would get on the wave actually was so touching that it would bring them back and back and back to do surfing.
Yes, could be. Yes. Yes. Yeah, and I mean, with acting probably it's the same. I mean, you need to like it also if this is not happening, yeah? So it's something I like playing, basically, yeah? I just like playing. But this thing is a bit like you have to, yeah, if you don't know where to get it otherwise, you have to come back to it.
Because I've heard actors or actresses talking, being interviewed about their life, and somehow they give the impression that it's like the connection to the audience and the response of the audience, you know, how loudly they clap, you know, which is really like their fix, you can say. You know? But I wonder if it's really true, and if it's not in fact this moment of presence that happens.
I don't know. I mean, I just thought it can be both. Yeah, it can be this and this. Yeah. I mean, I also know. I mean, many actors also have a big narcissistic thing. Yeah, that's the reason why they need to go on stage. Yeah, because they need it for their ego, basically. But
so we
could
also call
the other thing. It's also probably true. It's probably both. Yeah.
So could we call authentic theatre theatre without ego?
Why not? You can call it, but the thing is, I mean, when is the ego there or not? Who is judging it? Yeah, who is judging it? You also can have brilliant plays from people where there's a lot of ego. Yeah, it will not touch you so much. Yeah, when you're sensitive enough, it will not touch you so much. Yeah, but still, it's good and you have fun. Yeah.
Is there something you'd like to add about authentic theatre? Because I have the idea to invite one or two of your students to come and talk about how they experience it on the other side.
Right.
But before I do that, is there anything we haven't really covered? Something you'd like to add?
Not at the moment. I can't think of anything.
Okay. So if you don't mind to
yes.
I'd say thank you, and maybe you'll be ready to pop back. Let's. You have to take off the microphone now. Presence. So maybe our our cameraman would like to. And let's see if anybody else would like to come and say a few words. So I'm particularly inviting Kabir because he's now shown himself to be one of our most brilliant actors, and probably you have something to say about this. If you can get your microphone to stick. I remember I think it was in the New Year's party, or was it New Year's party or Christmas party, yeah, where you and you acted out a kid, you know, like a baby in a way, playing, yeah, and then you acted out Ramana Maharshi, which we won't talk too much about. But anyway, in these two cases, right, this is some of the recent theatre I saw you doing. I mean, you were exhibiting what we've been talking about. I mean, there was a lot of presence, actually.
Yeah.
Is that how you also experience yourself doing those?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's very beautiful. Really amazingly lovely. And, yeah, I really want to do more.
Right. All right. So for you as a student, you can say, acting student, it's very attractive because you come into this presence that Indira is talking about.
Yes, and the really important ingredient is there's a lot to say suddenly. The really important ingredient is having a space where you can absolutely touch the very deepest things inside of you that want to come out. So you can't be really present if you're sitting on something which you're not looking at. Yeah? People will always sense that you're not really present. But if you've got this, in my case it's this rage, I often have this rage, this deep sort of muddy thing, and now I can very easily access it in the theatre. And it's just this enormous power I want to kill. And I'm like, this enormous power, and I can go with it for ages sometimes on the stage. And it's so, I feel so alive doing it. And then I've noticed from being able to access that, I can access beautiful silence, I can access amazing tenderness, wild, loving, sexy, all these things, because actually, for someone like me, this knot is like a main ego structure. It's like, I'm not going to take part in life. It's like this young child's reaction to too much when it was young or something. Yeah? So it does this inside, and this is, I think a lot of men and women have this structure. Yeah? Right. And this theatre is an amazing chance, if you take the opportunity, to explore and let out all these crazy, horrible, or just wild things.
But in a way you don't touch in normal life because
which you can't really.
Don't really want to because it can be unpleasant. Even.
Yes, it can be unpleasant. And actually, when you really access it, there's just this enormous power.
Right.
So it's also a beautiful experience because you see that you're not really as messed up as you maybe think.
Right.
You just need a space to absolutely go,
Absolutely do what?
Yeah, absolutely mad, because as kids, we're basically just bundles of creativity, of energy, and but it gets so cut in the society, in the world. It gets so cut.
You're talking about the sort of bonsai tree effect.
Yeah, the bonsai tree being nicely clipped. And you have to be a good boy, and you have to behave in this way. And it's definitely not good to kill someone or sexually violate someone in the theatre. Not that I would ever do that in real life, but that energy's still there. So in real life you can't really do it, unless people go and get drunk with their friends, and there they can be wild. But it's a much different feel on the stage when you can really touch it. Really.
And do you often have what we've just been talking about happen, that you find yourself being able to witness what's going on, and that in fact there isn't really anybody there, and that you're in fact completely present?
Yes, it's such a beautiful flow. And it's when you said it's a bit like therapy, this is exactly how I feel it. Not in the sense of therapy where you're going into all your stuff and then analysing it. I mean, the analysing is actually a beautiful part of what she offers, because it's not really analysing, it's more like them shining light on what you couldn't see because you were completely in it.
Right.
But often, when you really get in touch with this energy, the controller goes.
Right.
So everything that's there just comes pouring out, and this is amazingly helpful, because it can take years of therapy to get in touch with this one thing that actually you just want to kill God or something. You want to kill the whole fucking world, because you're so angry that nothing ever went the way you wanted it to be, something like this.
Right.
But because no one's ever used to letting out that kind of emotion, until life gets so strong that they somehow have to. I don't know how it happens for people. But in my case, in the theatre, it took some time to get into it. It took some time at the beginning. I couldn't just step on and be like, right, I'm going to kill you. And now it's much more there. And once you access that thing, it opens up a lot of doors. Presence mainly, presence.
Yeah.
Presence.
So it's a kind of way of getting a glimpse, you could say. And we often talk about a kind of spiritual glimpse that happens, and that how valuable that glimpse is, because you then experience the beauty of your own being.
Yeah.
And it seems that, every Tuesday night, Indira is offering a space in her authentic theatre where if you come and play, if you come and sort of jump in, you have the potential to have this glimpse for some time.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's a bit like clearing out the things that don't really let you have a glimpse. Also, there's this, which is this therapy thing. Yeah? It's not so easy in my case, to have a glimpse of a true silence, because there's always this very strong rage inside. Yeah? Unresolved stuff. Yeah?
Right.
Which in the theatre can completely come out.
Right.
And after that, I often feel very, very alive, very
silent, even.
Silent, but also very alive. So there's not sort of neurotic thoughts happening.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of power. It's just this enormous power.
Right. I mean, that's another aspect maybe which is worth talking about, because, of course, as most human beings, we don't really allow our own power, because of the bonsai effect, that our wings are being clipped, the roots are being clipped as we grew up. And so the natural power of every human being, if you like, being connected into the universal power or the universal energy, we've lost that connection. So it sounds as if in the theatre, again, there is this aspect where you do connect, and then you feel this enormous power, as if it's something special, or it's something unusual, or something that I just got from doing theatre. But actually, this can be seen as our natural power, I think.
Yeah.
Which often we're quite afraid of. We're afraid of our own power, I think.
Yeah, we are, And also what Indira was saying about her old teacher, that he couldn't bring it into life. So this is an area I'm very aware of. This in the theatre, you can, in this free space, access this power, and the theatre is kind of like daily life. There's not really much difference actually, but it feels so much more real in the daily life. Got these very serious deadlines. I know I'm the kind of person that can be lazy, so I really have to not be lazy. I have to be really active. And this triggers all kinds of insecurities and then angers. I don't want to be a good boy, but I have to be a good boy. But it feels so real and sort of internal in the daily life, as if there's really a difference, between the stage and daily life. But there isn't really. But
but I was picking up on that. I would like him to pick up on that, because, of course, we take our life very seriously, extremely seriously, extremely seriously. Everybody, almost everybody anyway, is running on a very serious timeline of my life, and all these little things that happen, like, you might spill a glass of water on your trousers or something, and that's really going to spoil the fabric, or I don't know. We take it all incredibly seriously, And I must say that over my many years of being a bit alternative and kind of looking at myself, I see that one of the things that has happened is that my serious everyday life sort of disappeared, because I see everything as a kind of theatre. I see it all as a play, as a leela. Everything is playful, nothing to be taken seriously. How can you take it seriously if you drop a glass of water on your trousers? I mean, who cares? But in the normal life, you do care. You care about everything, like very seriously. And when you can do a regular theatre, maybe it's a wonderful reflection that you don't need to spend every day taking your own life very seriously, because you could see it as just another play. Would you like to maybe respond to that?
Well, I would say that taking it seriously is a huge hindrance, actually, to exploring what's really inside you.
Right.
Because taking it seriously is a strong control, actually, when you take it seriously, because you're afraid that it's going to go wrong. You're afraid that something bad is going to happen. And that's what the seriousness is. It's fear-based control, seriousness, and other things. Yeah, but I notice that I'm often serious in daily life, and deep down anyway. Yeah. And that actually this is it's completely not the way I want to live. But that's somehow, yeah. So this stage, this theatre experience offers an amazing way to come out of the seriousness and to see what kind of joys and wonders can come out of
not being serious.
Yeah, and of not being so serious with your stuff. Yeah?
Right.
And not being, there's a basic seriousness, and also, this is a very dark and dreadful thing that I have inside me, which it sabotages my life and it makes me cold, and and this kind of stuff. Yeah? And on the stage, whatever can happen with that. Yeah? You can either act out a tragic hero, or then you can, I'm going to kill you because of that. I mean, you did it to me, and it releases this sort of personal kind of shell we have around our stuff.
Okay. So, thank you.
Welcome.
Very good. Thank you. So let's see if anybody else would like to. Okay, just a second. Just so I can work out the time, is anybody else thinking of coming?
Maybe, but I don't know if you want to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll allow enough time because we haven't got so much time. Okay. So you're a new girl to authentic theatre.
Yes. Yes, I'm brand new. Is it allowed for me to speak in German, because there I'm more sure?
It would be better in English because it's kind of English.
Yeah, but then,
okay, go ahead.
I can't
go ahead,
explain them.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Maybe it'd be better if you let her do it. We know you're a multi-dimensional human being, but...
Für mich war das ja das erste Mal in der Gruppe zu spielen, mit euch zusammen, vor ein paar Wochen.
A few weeks ago, it was for me the first time to play together with everybody like this in a group.
Und schon als das losging, konnte ich bei mir beobachten, wie ich total aufmerksam war wie ein Kind.
And already when it started, I could notice how I was attentive like a child.
Also ich war so da und habe mich beobachtet, wie ich mit offenem Mund und großen Augen da saß.
So already when it started, I could observe myself how I was sitting there with wide open eyes and mouth and observing.
Und ich konnte auch gar nicht erwarten, dran zu kommen. Ja?
And I couldn't wait to start.
Und dann, als das soweit war,
and then when it started,
dann war ich mir eine Rolle, die ich von vornherein spielen wollte, so ziemlich gewiss. Ja?
Then there was one role I really wanted to play.
Das war so die Rolle der Generalstabsführerin, die so befiehlt und ja, so alle zur Schnecke macht.
I wanted to play like a general, like really putting out orders to everybody.
Und erstmal schien das auch gelungen zu sein.
And in the beginning it seemed to be successful.
Aber ich konnte auch wahrnehmen, dass so ein Teil von mir eigentlich immer noch weiter beobachtet hat, bin ich gut oder wie kommt das an bei den Leuten. Also es war unglaublich viel Selbstbeobachtung dabei, aber mit Urteilen auch so. Ja? Ich wollte unbedingt gut ankommen.
But there was also one part where I wanted to be good. I wanted to play it good. So there was one part of me what was a lot into observing how I was doing it and how the others were receiving it.
Also gänzlich fern von dem Present sein, ja.
So actually quite far away from being present.
Aber dann habe ich meinen Körper so angespannt in dieser Action.
But then I was tensed in my body that strong during this action.
Und ich hatte vergessen, vorher zum Klo zu gehen.
And I forgot to go to the toilet before we started.
Und dann ist es passiert, ja.
And then it happened.
What happened?
Yes, I will tell you. Also, dann kamen Tröpfchen, ja.
Then some drops came.
So, also. Und dann auf einmal war klar, okay, jetzt spielst du die Rolle der Frau, die inkontinent ist.
So then suddenly it was clear, now I'm going to play the role of a woman who is incontinent.
Right.
Also, das ist ja wirklich geschehen auch, verstehst du? So.
Because it really happened, that was what was happening.
Und dann konnte ich plötzlich damit total spielen.
And then suddenly I could play with that completely.
Und dann es war mir völlig egal, ob peinlich hin oder her. Und dann dachte ich, ach, die glauben es mir vielleicht auch gar nicht. So.
And then actually I didn't care anymore if it was, if I was ashamed or not. And I thought, oh, maybe even they don't believe me.
Und das hat so einen Spaß gemacht, weil ich fühlte mich gänzlich davon befreit, von dieser Scham, in Anführungsstrichen, inkontinent zu sein.
And it was such a fun, you know, because I felt completely free from this shame to be incontinent.
Und dieses, jetzt immer noch, ja, diese Energie, die dabei freigesetzt wird und dieses Lachen über mich selber, ja, es ist so beglückend.
And so still now I feel it, you know, this energy which gets released, it's so, so fulfilling. So
Ja, und ich freue mich auf jeden Fall auf das nächste Mal.
And I'm already looking forward to the next time.
Und der einzigste kleine Wermutstropfen ist gewesen, dass Lena dann sagte, Mama, das war so peinlich, weißt du.
The only thing what was a bit like a bitter drop, you know, was like that Lena was saying, oh Mom, that was so embarrassing.
Well, this is one of the downsides of a daughter, I think. Don't take it seriously. Yeah. Great, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Can somebody help with the... So you're also a bit of a new girl here.
Yeah. I already did improvisation theater before.
Yeah.
But this was quite different.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Indira really tells you to stay with your feelings and to really stay with yourself.
Right.
And with that you really learn to be here.
Right.
What is here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And with the more traditional kind of improvisation, I'm not familiar how that works.
Yeah, you normally get like a location or a relationship, and you play that out. And you also play with what is there, but you're more into your mind, and you're more thinking like, oh, I have this role, I'm going to play this or that. But here you forget everything and you just go on stage. So you learn to trust, to let it go. And to just be whatever there is, and everything there is all right. Even if you don't know, you can play that out. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that must be a wonderful feeling, yeah, that everything is all right. I mean, it creates immediate kind of space of freedom, some kind of freedom, yeah.
Yeah. And you really get in touch with it, and then you see that it changes. Like one moment you can be angry, and the other moment you start flirting. And then, you get sad, and then it goes all over the place. Yeah, and everything is okay, and yeah.
Right. Great, yeah. And do you find, after you've done, for example, a theatre evening here, do you find that affects your days, the next days, that you have some follow-on effect from playing?
Well, definitely it puts some light on certain things, because I also have that I can see, things coming up on theater, and then you recognize things in your daily life, like, oh, I can do it differently, or, you have some more distance and some more playfulness with it. Yeah.
Great.
Some more experimentation and playing with it.
And do you see any effects like not being so serious? I mean, you're a well brought up Dutch lady. And, I have the impression about Dutch people that they like to have it right.
Yeah.
Kind of, maybe it's not necessarily serious, but it should anyway be right.
Yeah, we have a certain way of doing things.
Which have already started to be challenged here.
Yes, I think that's because we're a tiny country and a lot of people. But, you see that, well, not specifically in that subject, I see it, but mainly more on interaction, like mainly interaction with people, that if you have a conversation and you suddenly have some distance in the conversation and, you can play with it. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So I'm going to say thank you, and I'm going to ask if Indira would like to respond to these nice feedbacks from the three of you. No, not on there, darling, on the white. Oh, very good. So, I mean, there was three rather interesting but slightly different responses. Would you like to maybe respond to what was said?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important is really this space where everything can arise and have space, yeah? And I mean, what Kabir said, I also experienced this, that you really also find, experience yourself in, for example, in this rage, yeah? I mean, when I was younger, I also had these things, I never could go really into rage because I was very scared. If I once start this thing rolling, yeah, I would take everything apart. I always had this picture, once I become really angry, yeah, I don't know where it ends, yeah. So then on stage, I started doing it, yeah, and this guy was really great. He really encouraged really going to the end. I mean, we also did exercises where you go into something, whatever comes, for example, rage, and you really, really go until the end, yeah. And the interesting thing is when you're at the end, then it stops and maybe something else comes, maybe then sadness comes, yeah. And when you really go into the sadness, maybe something else comes. And at the end of everything, there's always silence, an enormous silence, yeah. And you can see the people on stage when they do this exercise. Not everybody is able to really go through, yeah. But you can see the people who really go completely through. I mean, it's a classical actors exercise, actually. If they really go through, yeah, they come to an enormous space and peace, yeah. And which is great. And also, I mean, I learned through this. I made this experience that there is a limit to anger, for example. Yeah, it's not limitlessness. Yeah, how it feels. There can come the point where even my anger stops. Yeah? And this is I think you really have to experience this physically so your system knows it. Yeah? And this is
when you say it stops forever, you mean? Or it stops for that moment?
No, it stops in this moment. There's not something that you decide that you stop it. It stops naturally. Yeah, suddenly the anger is gone. Yeah, but this experience that you bring all your anger out and out and out and out and bigger, and then there is a stop where there is no anger anymore. Yeah. So as long as you sit on your lump here, yeah, which I also have for years and years and years, yeah. But once I had done it once or maybe 3 times on stage, there was somehow that the system knows it then, yeah. So then you can integrate this anger more easily in your daily life. because I never could before, because I know I have a lot of power, and I always was scared I would damage something, or I couldn't control it. Yeah, I couldn't control it. And then after this experience, it was more, it felt like I know this animal. Yeah, I can control it. It's not endless. It will stop. Yeah. The same with every feeling. Yeah, with joy, with sadness. Yeah, with everything. Yeah.
And have you personally had this sense of the daily life and the theatre space kind of merging?
Yes, yes. I mean, basically, I always wanted to expand this theatre into my daily life. Yeah, and I mean, I think now here in the Open Sky House, it's pretty merged. Yeah. Pretty much, and I could sense this. I mean, I didn't know a lot about spirituality when I came in touch with the house, but somehow I could sense this quite quickly as a place where this will merge. Yeah, where I just take it like I am on stage. Yeah.
Right.
So, and this was one attractive thing, definitely. Yeah. This was one thing I found very attractive.
Yeah. I can remember years ago I had lots of ideas about spiritual, and those ideas have been kind of nurtured for quite a few years. So they were I kind of reconditioned myself with sort of spiritual conditioning, you could say. And then in the last years, I would say, there's no spiritual life. There's just life. In the same way you could say there's no theatre. It's all theatre.
Yes. Yeah.
And so both these things are directing you towards the moment, to be in the moment, to be present. And when you can completely accept and take on this notion of presence, I mean, the whole life changes. And how often our mind will say, "Oh, I'll do that tomorrow," or next week, or we don't grab the moment. We don't grab the moment.
Yeah, and also, I mean, also to recognize this. I mean, the beginning for me it was theater, but maybe for you or other people, it's coming into contact with spirituality. It's recognizing when you are present or not.
Yeah.
I only recognize it when I started with theater. Yeah, that I could feel there's a difference. Yeah, there's a difference of being there. Yeah.
For me, it was my own route was through meditation, actually.
Right.
But over many years of meditation, I had, of course, many small glimpses of this presence, and somehow that was my path, you could say, to understanding presence.
Right.
Because I don't have many theatre memories. I was not exactly. I was too shy to really want to go on the stage. It was not. I had some kind of complicated relationship with myself in front of people, actually. I don't quite know where that went because it's gone now since many years, but some years ago it was quite strong for me. I was very shy to be in front of people. Okay, well, thank you for such an authentic talk about authentic theatre.
Thank you.
Thank you.